I don't think there's an assignment more important, certainly not one I take more seriously in this job of mine than the selection of judges to our two highest courts. The consequences of the decisions in almost all cases will be long-term, and particularly in the case of the announcement we make today, the standard that has been set for the Indiana Supreme Court is very, very high and nationally recognized. So we take a lot of time in hopes of making and being sure we're making the single best possible choice. And from a strong field on this occasion, I am utterly confident that Indiana is making the best possible choice. From an extensive public record comprising, among other things, 14 years in private practice and a like number of years on the bench, from extensive testimony from all directions, from people who have known this candidate professionally to reflect the highest in intelligence and temperament and fair-mindedness, and who have known the nominee personally and witnessed to superb personal character. And finally, from some direct experience, observing her as an invaluable ally in our years of bringing reform and major improvement to the protection of innocent children in this state against the cruelty of adults. From all those multiple sources, I came to center on this particular choice as likely the best for Indiana and for our future. And in our conversations, she reflected a thoughtful and well-grounded commitment to the proper place of the judiciary in our system of shared governance, a respect for the meaning of words as they are written, and for the people's elected representatives as the makers of law in our democracy. She has told me of her hope and intention to serve a long time on the court. She is youthful and vigorous, and that's important because among the many blessings of our courts, and our Supreme Court very notably, has been continuity of great justices who in almost every case were able and willing to serve a long time and provide a measure, therefore, of extra reliability and predictability to justice in this state. So I look forward to watching for a long time with gratitude as more honor and added luster are brought to the already proud traditions of the Indiana Supreme Court by Justice Loretta Rush of Tippecanoe County.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor Daniels. When I got the call from him yesterday, I hope your hearing has come back to your left ear. I gave him a very excited yes. I am honored to be able to serve as the 108th Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court. For 3 decades, I've practiced law or been a judge in the state of Indiana, and I've been a direct beneficiary of the standard that has been set by our Supreme Court. I look forward to working with these 4 gentlemen to continue to build on what they have done, to serve with integrity and respect the law for the state. My family is here, my son Jake, husband Jim, my daughter Mary, son Luke, and my sister Helene. I have a daughter Sarah who's a teacher in Charlotte and couldn't be here today. But having my family support is huge. I've been very blessed through this process. I hope a lot of people in the future see what a great process we have for selecting judges, and would encourage the tradition to continue. Thank you.
As I too often do, I left the introductions for later, and Judge Rush has just introduced her family, who we're delighted to have here. Everyone knows, I think, Judges Margaret Robb, a leader of the appellate court, Justice Brent Dixon, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and of course my partner, Becky Skillman. For 2 reasons, I thought it might be well to ask Justice Dixon to say a word also. He, of course, will soon be working with our new Justice, Justice Rush, but that won't be the first time. And Brent, would you like to say a word?
It's a pleasure. Governor, Justice Rush, I'm privileged to welcome you to our court. We're glad to be back to 5 and up to speed. This woman I met probably, how many years ago?
82.
Not 82 years ago.
82, no, it was 1982.
Right. Good. I know about this age. This age.
Point of clarification. Occasionally, our press friends make mistakes.
But I was a practicing lawyer in Lafayette when our firm was privileged to hire Loretta to work for us. About 2 years after that, I left Lafayette and came here to Indianapolis and served in my present position. But during that time, I was able to see this young woman at that time and all that she had to offer. A product of Indiana education at its best, and showing the promise that has been lived up to since that time, with 12 more years of private practice on her part, and then 14 years serving on the bench, in which she has attained miraculous achievements as a juvenile court judge, in working and helping judges in other cases, and in serving the state in many capacities. Her heart is filled with compassion for children, and she's able to network and synergize with all sorts of governmental agencies and operations to get the best resources available. I'm looking forward to working with Loretta. She's going to just be a great addition to our court, and I'm delighted. Can't wait to get you started. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. Questions for any of us, including Luke? I mean,
Governor, clearly now Indiana will have a woman on the Supreme Court. Did that factor into your decision making?
I wasn't oblivious to the fact that this was not already a feature of our superb Supreme Court, but as I said on many, many previous occasions, quality first, and factors like that can be tiebreakers. But I would not want it to diminish at all the stellar preparation of Judge Rush. I wouldn't want anyone to think that that really was a necessary factor here. I do believe she was clearly the best available choice, and I'm totally comfortable with it and would gladly have made it on an utterly blind basis, or if there were already 2 or 3 women on the Indiana Supreme Court.
In what way has Judge Rush been an ally in terms of child services?
Yeah, she was, I think the release reflects, she headed the Juvenile Justice Improvement Committee, just worked with us, with the department, and in each of the important reforms that we've made, coming to one system, not 92 different systems, one system standardized around the very best ways of protecting children, and trying to work toward a system which less often rips children from their homes and sends them away from even distant family, changes like that. But no one has been more respected in this area than Judge Rush, and so that was, as I said, a third important source of input to me in making this decision.
How does her experience in that area complement the current expertise on the court?
Well, that's probably a good question for Justice Dixon.
We're fortunate right now in that with Justice Rush's addition and Justice David, who did an awful lot of juvenile work and was also very active in that area and continues to be, we have perhaps one of the best equipped state Supreme Courts in the country to deal with these issues, which are growing in importance, as you know, and as we see in the headlines across the country. So it complements what we already have. It expands it. We have 2 people who are really top-notch juvenile expertise, bring top-notch juvenile expertise to the court.
Anyone else?
What led you to that area of the law
There was a need. I was a general practice attorney, and my practice was very much like Chief Justice Dixon's before. There was actually a group that came to me and said, we're having a lot of challenges in our juvenile system. Would you consider running? And I remember thinking, well, I hadn't done that area particularly, but it's been hugely rewarding. The juvenile bench comes with a lot of administrative responsibilities, as the governor said. Being the head of the judiciary with regard to a lot of the reforms, we work with the executive branch on it, but there's just a lot of need. There's always been a very large amount of need for judicial work, judicial oversight with regard to these cases with our children and families. So I was very much drawn to it, but I was asked to apply. But before I went on the juvenile bench, I had been a pro tem judge on just hundreds of cases of all types of cases, and been involved in civil jury trials, and had tried or served as a judge on criminal jury trials as well.
So you're getting back into general practice, general legal.
Correct.
What is it prompting you to seek this position?
Our Supreme Court is fantastic. I mean, I think it's not as well. The judicial branch sometimes is not as well known as the other two branches, and I've had the opportunity at the state level and at the national level to work with justices from other states, and it always comes back to, do you know how fantastic your Supreme Court is? So when I was encouraged to apply, you don't know when you put your name in that you'd be standing here. I might have probably bet against it 4 or 5 months ago, but I believe in the process. I believe you have to put yourself out for something that you believe in, and what a great group of men to be able to start working with. So I was honored to even apply, and then I was each step of the way just further reinforced my feeling that this was the right thing to do professionally. I will miss the juvenile bench in Tippecanoe County.
Do you think it's important to have a female presence on the
court? I worked really hard. I've worked since I was 13 years old, so to come up to that point. But I think yes, I do. I mean, I think a lot of the justices come from different, diverse backgrounds. Some of it might be gender, it might be in their practice or other areas. But I'm very thrilled to be a woman justice on the Indiana Supreme Court. But I agree with Governor Daniels. You look at the qualifications, the temperament, the issues. I mean, that has to come first.
Do you feel a little extra pressure being the second woman ever to sit on the bench?
No, I don't. It'll be exciting. It'll be exciting. What do you think, Chief Justice? I've worked with, I know Justice David well. As a judge in Tippecanoe County, I was the only elected female judge. I like working with other judges, so I don't think I think it won't be an issue.
Can you talk about where you got the call yesterday and your reaction? Were you expecting a call when you were yesterday, or was it?
No, it was an unknown number on my cell phone, and I just stepped out of the conference, and Judge Rush, this is Governor Daniels, and he goes, "What do you?"
A clever way of bringing it up. Do you remember?
Maybe it was something about Purdue. I don't know. I think it was that. But so.
I have a follow-up question.
Oh, I have a follow-up question, and then he goes, he had offered it, and that's when I gave him a very excited yes that we talked about earlier.
I think there was an eek before the yes.
There's a yeah. I think there. Any other questions?
Do you know when you'll begin?
No, I have to take care of my court in Tippecanoe County, make sure that I tie up some loose ends, finish some projects. I've got some cases I've started that I need to finish. I was just looking at my docket this morning. I think I have 50 cases on Tuesday, so it's a pretty active docket. I'm going to make sure that that's settled, but as soon as I can. I'm anxious to start.
They're anxious to have it.
Speaking of which, Rogan ceremony says TBA, but do you join the court immediately whenever arguments are next? You'll be back at 5?
It'll be Justice Rush's decision in terms of planning. She could be privately sworn in, or she could wait and have a formal swearing in or robing at a later date. But the transition that she needs to do we need to actually appoint a temporary judge that will replace her until the governor has an opportunity to name a replacement for that position. And she just needs time to serve the clients and all the cases that are pending. So she'll make the call as to when it's ready. We're very anxious. She will be. We got a space for her. We're all ready to go. So,
Judge, I wonder if you can describe yourself. Would you consider yourself a conservative, a pragmatist? Is there a Supreme Court justice that you would cite as a model for the kind of justice we want to be for Indiana?
Well, I think Governor Daniels talked about it briefly. I enjoyed Justice Scalia's opinions. I like his legal philosophy. Sometimes he goes into extra words in some of his orders. But I believe in judicial restraint. I believe in respect for the other branches of government. They're elected by the people to make the laws. Our job is to interpret the laws. I like the discipline of the law. I like the scholarly approach our Indiana Supreme Court takes to the cases. So there's almost no, and it's a great thing about being a lawyer even. A new case comes in, you learn a new fact situation, you get to learn about new areas. So the discipline of learning an area, understanding it, and then being able to write an opinion, really there's no area that I wouldn't be interested in. Sometimes the most interesting cases are the ones that come in that you think start off being the least interesting.
Thank you all very much for coming.